Hello,
Okay.
girl.
Hi. How are you?
Good. I'm nervous.
Um, Hi. It's us. Well, me, Cole, and Annemarie today. Welcome back to Not So Whimsical. You've been here before.
Yes.
Um, yeah. So how's confinement going for you?
Ah, fucking amazing. No, I can't really complain. I mean, I'm watching a lot of Netflix, reading a lot of books, and being outside a lot, which is not so good, I know, but
No,
I
I
have the
mean,
privilege of having nature.
being outside is okay as long as you don't, see people as
People.
much.
Yeah,
There was
that's
this
true.
there was this really funny tweet where a guy was asking the Munich police, hi, I'm asking for my roommate if it's okay that he invites his girlfriend over. And then the police was like, if it's your life partner, it's fine. Otherwise, no. And then the guy was like, okay, great. So he changes life partners every week.
Well, how has confinement been for you? I know you in Vienna, you have a different situation going on, city life.
Yeah, it's interesting. So I'm the least worried of the bunch. I've really noticed that there's a certain pattern, especially in my family. So I'm confined with my family. So my dad, my mom, and my two sisters. And my dad is the one who has this live ticker, and he comes into that's also a fun fact is that our apartment, my parents' apartment, goes in a circle. Basically, that's how the plan was kind of made. So he runs around in circles every day at a certain time and tells us how many people are dead. He doesn't talk about the people who have been cured. He only says these people are dead. There's this
Oh
number of
boy.
infections. Yeah, and so my mom is just terrified all the time. The poor woman has nightmares. She just told me about a nightmare she had last night where she was at a conference and she saw the coronavirus attacking her.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
that's not good.
Yeah, no, I definitely think that my dad is not helping in that. But on the other hand, everyone's dealing with it the way they just are, the way they can, because I think it calms him down to be in the know. Like he wants to stay informed. I think it's also this protective instinct that he just wants to protect his family, and that's why
Mhm.
he wants to be so aware. Um, and my sisters are, well, yesterday I was walking down the canal with my sister Alix, and she was terrified. Every time someone passes us, she just holds her breath until the person is gone. And there were a lot of people yesterday at the canal, and
Of course.
so but it got a little scary for sure, because before, there's really, you walk past a person and they will get out of their own way, like they will really make sure they're far away from you as much
Mm,
as they can. But yesterday that didn't feel like it at all.
mm.
So
I
my
feel
sister.
like people see that the measures we took are having an effect, and now they're getting more loose with it again. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, yeah,
You
yeah,
can
yeah,
see that here in the countryside as well.
yeah.
There are so many, like, it was crazy how little cars there were, how few
Mm-hmm.
cars there were on the streets. And now, like, when I drove at 10 p.m. or so, there was no car outside, which was very weird. And
Mm-hmm.
now there are cars again. So yesterday I was roller skating alongside the Danube, and there were so many cars and people as well, of course.
Yeah,
But it's
no,
beautiful, so can you blame them?
exactly. It's so nice out as well. But when I came back from Rome, when the outbreak started, basically,
Mm,
my sisters, my mom was like, please stay away for as long as you can. So I was in a hotel room for a week, I think.
yeah.
Um, because I also called the, Corona service, and they were like, if after a week you don't show any symptoms, it's impossible that you've had it. And so
Mm,
my parents left for a short, like, spa weekend trip, whatever, because they were supposed to go to Florence to celebrate my mom's birthday, but yeah, that trip fell short. And so when I came back, my sisters were both like, could you just stay away for like another day just to like make sure that you don't have corona? I only post positive stuff from our news pages. And I just try to calm my parents down as much as I can, because it's been, again, I'm just surprised by how well we're like, how much support there has been globally, because that's been such a test for the world, this happening right now. The support and the understanding of how important these measures are is like this beautiful surprise.
I really like that too. I really like it too. And also the like looking out for each other, for foreign people, like for your neighbors which you haven't met, and for elderly people. And yeah, I really like that.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. Speaking of beautiful things, you got me on the whole cycle train. We met, you asked me where I get my hair cut. And I was like, I cut it myself sometimes or whatever. I'm really scared of hairdressers because they fuck it up all the time. And then you were like, I only cut it by the moon. I'm like, huh?
Yeah.
So do you want to get into that a little bit?
Yes. I mean, I do believe in star signs and moon cycles, like lunar cycle, but I'm not an expert at all. I just have heard about you can just Google for Ecosia for a moon calendar, and there are certain days in a month where it's good to cut your hair. I mean, depending on whatever you want. If you want like fast grow and voluminous hair, then it's this and this and these days. And at other days maybe they grow. If you have a short haircut and you don't want to go or cut them too often, then you want to cut your hair on these other certain days where they don't grow as quickly. And I've started cutting them every month, just trimming the edges by myself. I don't know if there was an effect. Maybe.
Definitely. You have the most amazing hair I've ever seen. Your hair is so soft and so pretty, and it grows so exponentially fast.
Maybe that's because, maybe. I know. But maybe it's also just my genes, because I think they're always grow so fast. So I hope they will too within the next few weeks, because my hair is shit right now, my haircut. I know, I'm sorry. I'm talking about this all the time, but okay.
It's fine. I understand where you're coming from. It was super weird for me that you got such a short haircut. I was like, what is happening? Because after Australia, you had this long hair. But yeah, to me, in my head, it's just, or at least that's what I'm trying to say for you to be less sad about it, is that, it's just a chapter that ended in your life. And now, like, you cut your hair, and that's fine. That's a new chapter.
New hair, new me. Yeah. It will grow back soon, and then I have long hair again, and then I won't cut it anymore. I won't dye it anymore. That's my 2 life lessons, which I will stick to.
Why don't you want to dye it anymore?
Because I love my natural hair color, and also making it blonder, it's just damaging the hair.
Yeah. I just love your hair, bro. It's like in the sun, it's like this, you're like a mermaid.
Yeah, soon. In summer. But it's good that it's quarantine time, because nobody sees my hair except me, which is bad enough, but okay.
Yeah, no, I got lots of pimples. I'm really happy about, like, I think we're both people who are just trying to always look for the most positive outlook. So
we have to, right?
I mean, it's
I mean, you don't have to, but I want to.
Exactly. I think it's a lot of self-wantage.
That's a good word.
But about the moon, just to get back to it, because I'm obsessed with the moon as well. I mean, obsessed. She's my girl. I have a friend who posted something on Instagram 2 days ago when there was a supermoon, and she was like, my advisor came out to see me about the.
Aw, cute.
I love that so much. So I think apart from the hair cutting, there's also a lot of other ways that we relate to the moon, or we feel certain ways. It's like, especially with astrology, for example, when Mercury's in retrograde and there's a full
Everybody's
moon
fucked
at
up.
exactly, and there's a full moon at the same time, and the new moon is this regenerating energy, and I'm guessing not everybody feels that, and I think you just really have to be into it, but I think
Yeah.
we both are really into it.
Oh, for sure. My goal is to get more and more into that, because I know about the new moon wishing, but I've no facts about it, or I don't know why people do it. But I know people do it, and I want to get more knowledge about it.
What is new moon wishing?
You haven't heard about it?
Oh, I know nothing apparently.
No. No. Some people have those manifestations or wishes that they write down, like they make a little or whatever, big or little ceremony for themselves when it's new moon. So like a new chapter is starting, and I don't know why exactly new moon, but it has something to do with new moon. And yeah, that's, for example, one thing I really want to get to know more, but I haven't researched it. I'm just happy I know when my period comes.
You always get your period on the full moon?
Yep.
So you are a red
lunar cycle, yeah. You don't always get it with the full moon, right? Because your cycle isn't so regular, right?
I mean, my cycle just lasts 200 years, so.
Yeah, I know. Do you want to talk about it? How do you feel?
I'm really surprised. So due to some factors, hormonal and other things, I got my period quite late this moon. It was I think 18 days late, and so my cycle is not a regular cycle where I get it every 28 days, which doesn't happen for many people, by the way. So for me, it's between 35 and 37 days. That's why I got into this app called Clue, that really you can track your symptoms regularly. And that's something, people who journal, I admire them, but I'm not that person who like journals every fucking, feeling and symptom and whatever. And this app is really, really cool, because it just, it asks you how your mood is and about so many factors, including your stool, which, I love talking about my stool. So that's how I kind of learned to regulate it, and to just understand what's happening, and also realizing that my cycle is actually pretty standard. Like the fact that it lasts that long is not a bad thing. It just happens.
No. Yeah.
And so my deviation is 2.3 days. So like that's how much it varies, basically, depending on the month and depending on things. I also got into yoga a lot more. I've been practicing yoga since I was like 16 or something, but now I do it every day, and that's really helped actually with regulating it. So to get back to that, my period was very, very late, and especially in this time of confinement when you have so much time on your hands, I got extremely worried, and I was basically having cramps for a whole month. So basically ever since my hormones were taken out of balance, it was really bad, and it's crazy how much I missed my period, because to me personally, my period is what grounds me. It's like what helps me start over. It's what helps me, like, the cycle is just, to me, it's the most powerful thing in the world. Especially for a woman, or for someone who has a menstrual cycle. And there's been so much shame around it, and so much stigma, and so much crap, which makes no sense to me. But so when I finally got it, yeah, I'm having it right now during the full moon. And of course it feels, and the super moon, and it's just, the cramps have been manageable. And that's also thanks to you, because you made me discover the period cup, or the menstrual cup. That thing has changed my life completely.
Let's talk about that. I love it. I discovered I thought about it yesterday, I think. I've been using it since 4 years now. And I can never imagine a life without it. I know many people have criticized the period cup. For me personally, it's the real deal. I love it. I will never use anything else again. Although I've heard lately that you can get is kidney Niere?
Yeah.
Kidney stones from it, or like you can irritate your kidney, and this causes so like huge pains and huge cramps. And so I've watched this one video about this one girl. She just wore her period cup normally, like every day, and then she got such bad pains, and so she was admitted to the hospital, and they discovered the cup somehow pushed on the
bladder, probably.
Maybe the bladder, some kind of
like the urinary tract or something like that.
Oh, maybe that. Yeah, I don't know. Something. So it caused the urine to get stuck and not being able to release, and so it stuck back to the kidney. And of course, I can imagine the pain. Of course, I believe her, it's painful. And when she took the cup out, within a few minutes or maybe hours, the pain got away. So I was like, okay, it's good to know that there is something like this out there, you know.
Yeah.
I didn't know it about that, honestly.
Yeah, me neither. I mean, I know that in the beginning I had a lot of troubles with the cup. It was like, I remember sometimes it would just get stuck. We're making it sound like it's a terrible thing, but
no, it's the best thing in the world.
It's, well, for us, right? It's a learning curve for sure, because I mean, I can't remember when I bought my first cup, but I could actually just go back to my emails.
When I used the period cup first, I was I think it was the first week when I was in Helsinki, and so of course I also had troubles with trying to figure out how to fold it, and so I spent, I don't know, which for me felt hours, but I'm sure it was just a few minutes in a bathroom. And so I was in a shared flat so we were 6 girls and 2 bathrooms. I was so sorry for taking so long because I wanted to insert my cup. And so I felt so bad, and probably they'd never thought about it. Why does it take so long in the bathroom? But I thought I had to explain myself. So I was like, one day we were washing I was like, I'm sorry if it takes so long in the bathroom every day. And they were like, well, we haven't noticed. Yeah, I'm using a period cup. And then we got into the discussion about period cup.
So when I started using it, I just checked, it's almost 4 years as well. It's like 3.5 years now. So crazy. So when I started using it, I remember the stem was a bit too long for me.
Mm-hmm. Right, I remember, yeah.
So I cut it, and then I was obsessed with the idea low cervix versus high cervix and shit like that. The thing with me, the reason why I love this cup so much, the menstrual cup, is because I have a very, very heavy flow. Extremely heavy. If you want to know something gross that I find delightful, I got into this habit of collecting my blood in a jar.
Really?
It was so cool. It was so cool.
I should try that.
So cool. I just did it because, you know, there's these BuzzFeed videos and all these videos of people who say, actually, you only bleed like 1 tablespoon a month. And I'm like, Entschuldigung, do you know me? The way I experienced my period for many, many years is that I would always leak. So I wouldn't sleep normally during my period. I would always wake up with this paranoia, like really waking up in sweat, like being scared that maybe I had leaked onto the bed. It really took me a while to also, you know, choose the right brand for me as well. Mm-hmm. And now I have 2 cups at all times. I have a small one for the light days and a medium one for the heavy days. And, you know, they promote it as these cups only work for women who've had children, mm-hmm. given birth vaginally. No. I've been 100% fine. Also, like, mm-hmm. women do not, like, I don't know because I haven't given birth vaginally. I'll let you know. The vagina is a beautiful muscle that just, it goes back to what it used to be. So I'm guessing they're saying that because it does. When I started using the medium cup, I'm not gonna lie, it hurt a little. There was this discomfort because it's just much bigger, and you're just like, oh. But after 5 minutes, it's the best feeling in the world. I've been able to sleep through the night. That has been absolutely amazing for me. And you don't feel it. If you insert it right, you don't feel it at all. Also, I stopped using the ones with stems. Now I use the bell ones, where it's like a ring. That just feels much better. And I don't know, I feel like you just learn so much about yourself through the cup.
Yeah. Hallo.
Hallo.
Hörst du mich?
Sollen wir vielleicht das Video abdrehen?
Ja.
Ich höre dich. Okay. Maybe that's gonna help.
Yeah.
Sorry, you were saying?
Sie ist weg.
Siehst du mich? Ich bin da.
Hallo. Ja.
And we're back in business. Hello, friends. Okay, so for us, periods are pretty cool. We use the cup, but that doesn't mean that you have to. There are lots of other blood collection tools.
Some passive ones, some active ones. Because what I love, because I call them passively collecting blood, because what I love about the cup is that it just sits there and it's here and being like, oh, da, da, da. If blood comes, cool. If not, also cool. And a tampon, for example, it's like actively sucking, because it's a cotton, and it's actively, of course, sucking all the moisture. It doesn't matter if it's blood or just other moisture. So this also, for example, for me, in the lighter days, on day 4 to 5 on my cycle, I always had discomfort, of course, while changing my tampon, because there wasn't much blood. There was a little bit, and too much to not use anything, but it was too little for a tampon. So that's what I love about the cup, is that I can have it inside of me like for another 3 days without collecting any blood. It's just there, That's what I really, really like about the cup.
Yeah, because a thing that happens with the tampon is also it dries you out because of the cotton, right? So you have this really dry feeling, and for some people, I've heard that when they take it out, it's very painful for them. Something that happened to me quite often is whatever. We actually had this conversation at uni, and I was mentioning that sometimes I insert my tampon and then it just floop goes right back out of me because the flow is so heavy. And then this guy in our class was like, oh, can you tell me more? Because like my girlfriend, like she doesn't really talk about her period, and I'd love to know more. And then it turned into this like beautiful conversation.
I love educating men who are really interested in periods, because I feel like, also I remember in my school time, we got taught all about periods in PE class, where we were separated, boys and girls. So I really like that some men are really interested. So how is it, and what do you mean your belly sticks out when you're PMSing or something like that? I really love that.
I think actually before I read this book, which is my holy grail, it's called Viva la Vagina, and it's written by these two wonderful doctors and authors, called Nina Brochmann and Stokken Dahl. I probably butchered the names, I'm very sorry. And they wrote this book about vaginas and everything about a menstruating body and female bodied humans, whatever. It's very interesting. They also have this beautiful chapter on people who were born intersex and the biological gender versus the physical gender versus I'm probably paraphrasing big time right now and probably wrong at that. But they're really amazing. I discovered them through a TED Talk where they explained the myth of the hymen. Which is
these two. Yeah.
Which is also very interesting, and you should check it out. But
I think it's called the virginity fraud, if I'm not mistaken. The TED Talk.
It's really good. I'll link it somewhere. You can find it. Blobbity blue. But so I just want to get into that real quick. So what happens, the reason why we bleed, etc., is that so in the uterus, we have the most inner layer, which is called the endometrium. And during your cycle, the endometrium grows inside you, basically, because that's the place where the fertilized egg should sit. And then the fetus will be fed from that endometrium with the mother's blood, which is, as you mentioned, like liquid gold, basically, for a child.
Yeah, it is.
Exactly. And so during the cycle, it just grows and grows and grows. But if there's no fertilized egg, the uterus, well, the body actually doesn't need the endometrium anymore. So the skin that has been growing will be rejected and shed, and that's kind of what breaks. So this whole idea that we bleed because the skin breaks is not, this layer breaks is not true. It's just that this motherly blood, this liquid gold that's supposed to feed the child, just goes with it, basically. So yeah, the skin is being rejected, the blood too. It's really interesting that only several Gattungen, so only several monkeys and a type of bat have periods, like they menstruate.
But don't dogs menstruate as well?
No, dogs actually bleed out of their vaginas and not out of their uterus.
What? Cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I need to research that more. Interesting.
Yeah, so
I want to read that book.
Oh, it's amazing. I love it. Really, I love it. And also, in case you haven't heard of endometriosis or have been wondering what that is about, endometriosis means that this endometrium, this layer, is growing outside of your uterus. That's why women are in chronic pain. Or I'm always like, I don't want to leave anyone out in this conversation, so I always want to say female bodied, but to me that's also pretty almost disrespectful, because what does that mean? You know, it's like, oh, I have female parts. What is female? Anyway, menstruating people. So what happens there is the endometrium grows outside of the uterus, which shouldn't be happening. It's basically like an organ is just growing outside of where it should be.
Like random tissue growing on, like your kidney, for example.
Exactly. That's why it's pretty painful, but also a super tough procedure to get rid of. So that's why it's called a chronic disease, because it's pretty much impossible to do that. If you think about it, the skin just keeps regrowing, I'm assuming. So you'd have to take it out every time.
Does it like always compile? Because I can't really, but I have no idea. So obviously, if the tissue grows on your kidney, for example, it can't shed to nowhere.
Usually it just grows outside the uterus. So that's where, but I mean, you know, I don't want to generalize where it grows, but that's basically what happens. And so that's why it's super painful. And that's why at the end of the day, women go through hysterectomy, which is a terrible name, by the way, because it comes, you know, it stems from hysteria because, you know, women were supposed to be whatever.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, that means you like basically cut the ovaries.
The whole uterus, including ovaries. Yes.
So basically it just cuts the menstrual cycle.
Yeah.
And that is very, very painful to go through.
Yeah, I can imagine, because I don't know actually at all, but I think the hormones are still produced, right? So it fucks your system up, but I don't know. So it's a super interesting topic.
You need to get inside the abdomen to find if that is really the tissue. So, you know, it's 300 surgeries basically, and you're still in pain for the rest of your life. So, and it's not fair, because it's not like you can do anything about it. It's not like if you treat your body a certain way, this is what happens. Lena Dunham talks a lot about it.
Also, the one BuzzFeed woman, Lara E. Parker, I think she's called. She also has a new book. It's crazy. I feel so much empathy for these women and for these people who struggle with it. And for example, then on my first day of a period where I have discomfort, I feel so bad, because I somehow know that's not true, because everybody's feelings are valid to to themselves. But I feel so bad because of complaining, because it hurts. But I can't imagine how painful this must be for
Endometriosis.
Endometriosis, for other people who have endometriosis and who are struggling with this 24/7 or like every day or every other day. Wow, insane.
When I was I had a lot of abdominal issues for the longest time, and so I went to my gynecologist and I asked him if he could check, and he was like, we'd have to go through surgery. I'm like, is there anything else we can do before I have to go into surgery for this? And so he took his little ultrasound thing, the thing, and then bloop, and so he put it inside me basically, and he started pushing on like quite strongly. And then he was like, does that hurt? I'm like, yeah, obviously. He's like, yeah, but do you want to die? I'm like, no. He's like, okay, so you don't have it. Because I was going through these abdominal issues, and my PMS is very, very tough. So PMS is premenstrual syndrome. I also like to think that it's post-menstrual syndrome because it's always there because you always menstruate. So it's just the Menzi syndrome.
It's the circle of life.
Yeah, PMS, everyone has different symptoms, right? That's why for me it's just always weird symptoms throughout the whole cycle, but I cramp up a lot.
What kind of symptoms do you experience in your PMS and your period? Like, okay, during your PMS and during your period.
Yeah, during my PMS it's basically jaw pain, very, very large breasts. Remember that time where I didn't wear bras for like almost 2 years? Best time ever. Now
which
that
I'm in right now.
Yeah, I'm wearing a bra right now. It's interesting because I
love your outfit, by the way.
Oh, thank you. I decided to go for the femme fatale look today. Since we're always dramatic as women. So wearing bras has also shown me like my cycle, how much it varies during the cycle, because during my PMS suddenly my chest gets so large. It's already large, so even larger basically, so I have to set my straps to make them a little looser. And then after that, once I got my period, they can go back to tighter.
Normal.
And then, that's really interesting to like witness, to watch. During my period, like it's really gotten better due to exercise. Cramps, but also the sense of clarity, super clarity. That's really fun. Like I think I mentioned that actually to you beforehand at some point, that during my period is when I get to make my decisions. Throughout my cycle, I kind of lay the groundwork for all the things I want to do and I want to decide on. And then on my period, on the second-ish day, Gesundheit, on the second-ish day is when I'm like, okay, now let's take care of business.
One book I want to recommend to everyone, it's called Ebbe und Blut by Luisa, Stömer and another woman. I don't know the name now. Sorry. They also describe the cycle, and that's so interesting because due to hormones and everything, they say within the first 2 weeks of your cycle, so period week and the 1 week after, so before your ovulation, you should or you're more assertive, you're more into decision making, you are, you know what I mean, because of the underlying history of wanting to mate in order to fertilize the egg. I know that's very, I don't know, historical, but that's how they explain it, I think. And then in the last 2 weeks of your cycle, so after ovulation, just before your period, you are more calm, you should rest more, you feel like, oh, that's because of the hormones, of course, but you are willing to settle down more, and that's also due to the fact that if in case your egg got fertilized, you want to take it slow in order for the uterus to work and for the egg to really nest. And yeah, that's super interesting, because I feel that too, of course. I wasn't aware of it for a long time, and now that after read the book and I've really tried to feel into that fact, if it's the case for me too, I can really feel that I'm so happy and hyper, and I have so much more energy in the first 2 weeks of my cycle. It's crazy. Not I don't want to say in the first 2 weeks of my cycle, because when I'm on my period I don't, but after that, so before ovulation, when I'm not bleeding, I'm so much more active. It's crazy. It's really crazy. And then just right before my period, I'm really, but also not in the mood for doing anything. I'd rather stay home, watch Netflix, have a calm evening, have a calm day. It's very, very interesting. I'm not restless or at all. So yeah, it's so interesting.
I know what you mean. It's also very interesting during ovulation, the part where you said that you want to mate. Dude, when I'm ovulating, I want to jump on everything that moves. It is so bad. And also on my period, it's different though. So during my ovulation, I'm very like, wow, everyone is so pretty. And also due to hormones, your face is glowing.
Yes.
Is it estrogen? Yeah, during ovulation, I think it's estrogen that's the higher hormone. Like that's when it's fucking peaking. And so you're basically like this glowy fucking goddess. And also interesting, yet maybe gross fact, your discharge is peaking. So you're lubricated all the time.
I forgot it again. Is it, if it's like if you touch your discharge and it makes like little threads, it means you're very fertile? Exactly the other way around.
During
I don't know.
Ovulation, this is the beautiful part of the body as well, is that during ovulation your discharge is wet, because it is the most comfortable environment for sperm.
Yeah, exactly.
Historically, and not historically technically, but just like
evolutionary based,
everything is there for a reason during your menstrual cycle. And so the discharge is extremely wet. There's a lot of it as well. That's why sexual relations are also very, very pleasurable for both sides during ovulation, because there's these hormones, the bloop. And then during your period, it's different though, because again, there's obviously this natural lubricant that's happening, blood. I've noticed that I turn into, like, I get different. Yeah, like very assertive, but also very like back to like, there's a sense of primal, you know. I get all just like it's the best.
Also, disclaimer, everything that we say is based on our own experience.
We're not experts, we just read books.
Nah. Yeah,
that doesn't mean that, you know, but again, something
we love the topic.
We love the topic, and also it's very important that, you know, everyone's symptoms are different. Everyone's menstrual cycle is unique.
And one thing that is true for everyone who has a menstrual cycle: get to know your cycle. It helps you. It just helps you. Because if you get to know these symptoms, okay, whoopsie, then you're like, okay, this means ovulation. This means I'm PMSing. This means I should take it slow. It's just wonderful. And if you have a completely different cycle than us, just try to get to know your own cycle. It just helps you. It can only help you.
And it's completely normal if your cycle is different than us.
Yeah.
I don't know anyone except for my mom, actually. My mom is the only person I know who gets jaw pains during PMS. But again, it's like I have a very long history with my teeth. So we go back. And when I started experiencing these jaw pains, I would run to my doctor, to my dentist. Something that's interesting about me is that I visit my dentist twice a month because I'm terrified of, you know.
I wanted to say that your jaw pain probably has is because due to your history with your teeth and your jaw problems.
Turns out that these jaw pains are really only related to my cycle. So the sensitivity is just much stronger. And obviously I have a history with my teeth, you know. Many have been removed. I'm like a grandma at this point. There's a lot of trauma that happened in my jaws. So obviously during PMS, it's just even worse. But it's just nice to know, because now I don't have to run to my dentist twice a month, only once a month.
I'm still not very aware of my emotional and my psychological symptoms, I think. I'm working on that. But my only physical symptom is that I have not tender breasts, but only tender nipples. So they would be hard and stick out always. Like I never wear a bra, and if I do, I wear a bralette. So during PMS, they're always visible because they stick out through the bralette as well. Yeah, that's the only thing. They're very tender and they're very hard, but that's it.
They're super hard, right? Like really just sticking out, and it's just like,
hi.
And also something that you went to see my ex-partner about once. You were PMSing, and you basically you just went up to him and said, touch my PMS. Would you like to elaborate on that?
No, I hate when you tell that story because it's not like that, but I was so
I'm sorry. We don't have to talk about it if you don't want to.
No, it's okay. But it's not like, oh, touch your belly. But what I discovered is that, okay, I don't have a flat belly to begin with, but if you push in right now, it's soft without tensing your muscles. And when I don't tense my muscles and I push into my belly where the uterus is on my before my period, so on my PMS days, it is hard. So I really, and of course it's a fact that your uterus enlarges, and I really feel it. So I feel it. It's so interesting. And then sometimes I'm like, oh my God, it's just hard, you know? And this was when I just discovered this, and I was so amazed of my body and what our bodies do. So I was like, I wanted everyone to touch it. I was like, oh my God, look. I went up to my dad. I was like, look, my belly is so hard. And he's like, you're crazy. So yeah, I went up to your ex-partner, and told him, look, touch my uterus. Like,
he was super excited. He was always so understanding and so interested about my period and about everything that goes on. And so when you left, he was like, does that happen to you too?
Men being interested in periods is amazing. It doesn't matter how little they know. It just matters how interested they are and how much they want to know and how much they want to listen and how much they want to ask women about what they experience. And yeah, educate yourself, man. When us girls talk about periods, I often hear the opinion that, oh, I'd rather have no period, and oh, it's such a nuisance, or I'm having this one contraceptive method which makes my period disappear, and it's awesome. And I could never relate there because I really love it. Of course I don't love the pain. Of course it's painful, and it's a nuisance that you have to go to the toilet and change your tampon cup, whatever you use. But it empowers me so much. It teaches me so much about myself. And that's what I said before, if you listen to your body, you can only gain, like you can only, was heißt denn profitieren? Profit. You can only profit from that knowledge. And so I personally, I would never have any contraceptive method which makes a period disappear, and I wouldn't change it for anything.
Yeah, it's just a beautiful thing to happen. You get to know your body on this deepest level, and that is so cool. And that's why I also, and that might be gross to some people, while I was discovering my cycle, there were lots of videos going around, especially on BuzzFeed, about periods, and they're like trying to provide more knowledge about it, basically. There was this one episode, I think it was Ladylike, where they would like paint with their blood and whatnot. And
oh my God, I love it. I love this. Some women, some menstruating people use their period blood as face masks, and I want to try that one day.
There was this one video that I saw of this sex educator who used her blood to like paint on her face and her arms and then do a dance and whatever. And she was like, the smell is pretty gross, but just ignore that.
Love that.
There was also talks about how you only bleed 1 tablespoon per month.
Try me.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Do you know me? Have you met me? Have you met my mattress? So my bloody mattress. So I took a jar and I started basically, instead of dumping my blood from my period cup into the toilet, I dumped it into this jar and just watched. It was so cool, because for me, when I started using the cup, I was absolutely fascinated by what I was seeing, you know. And again, I know that some people find discomfort in that. Some people get nauseous by the sight of blood, for example, and that is absolutely okay. The smell is smelly, so
It's blood.
yeah,
There's no way around. Of course, it is smelling like blood.
yeah, but so again, so
Period.
if some people so I understand if some people find this difficult, but yeah, for me it was super exciting to collect that. And that's when I noticed the endometrium. Like, you can actually see it, because you mentioned that to me in a conversation. This lining, this uterine lining, the endometrium, so many words for it, is actually doesn't have a color.
It's not, I mean, it has a color, red blood, but it's not only blood.
The skin is actually not red. It's just red because it's doused in blood.
Yeah.
And so when you're on your period, it's not normal looking blood. It's clumpy.
Actually, that's why I call it liquid blood, or liquid gold. And that's why I love this term so much. It's because it is actually the most nutritious blood in our bodies. So actually, it's so valuable when we dump in our toilet every month.
Yeah,
because of
put
course
it in a jar.
Put it in a jar and sell it. I don't know. That's why it's such a holy thing, because it of course would provide all the nutrients which a fertilized egg would need. And of course that's very, very nutritious and had all the good stuff in it. I love it.
Yeah, that's like this motherly blood that I was mentioning before, that's supposed to feed the fetus. So that is basically this blood. It is, of course, our blood, but it is not bad blood. And that's also why we don't bleed out, because this is supposed to happen. And so while I was dumping the stuff into a jar, this liquid gold magic, Mathieu and Vivi, they came over once, and I was like, guys, can I show you something? When I showed it to Mathieu and Vivi, they were both like, oh yeah, show us. Because it had been in a jar for a few days now, you could actually see the discolorated clump.
Really? I want to try that, and I'm gonna send you a picture.
I've only had like really good experiences with men I've talked about my period to. I mean, except for this one friend whom I was complaining to about my period being late, and then he was like, yeah, I hope you get your thing soon. And that's when I realized yeah, why are you such a baby about this? But then on the other hand, yeah, so what we're trying to say is we love periods. Every period is unique, because every menstruating person is fucking unique and amazing. And whatever weird symptom you have, tell me about it, and I'll tell you that it's normal.
And we acknowledge that periods might be the worst thing for some people, and we acknowledge that, and it's okay. And for others, it's the most beautiful thing. And what I would say, periods are always empowering.
Yeah, I really think that, I hated my period for the longest time because of the heavy flow, because of all the things, but give it a chance. I can only recommend Clue. This app is amazing. I mean, it asks you what your stool is. It asks you all of these things, and then based on that, it makes analyses, and it explains to you, it just shows you like these reoccurring symptoms, and that's how you can actually gain so much knowledge about it. And that is so exciting, and we should talk more about it, and we should talk to everyone about our periods. Again, highly recommend Viva la Vagina. It's a fantastic book. And Ebbe and Blut, is there an English version? Do you know?
I don't think so. It's written by 2 Germans, but I don't know. I would need to research it.
Yeah. I mean, I have the German version of Viva la Vagina because I found it at the airport. I love buying books at the airport. And I have this friend of mine who reads it in Russian, so it obviously exists in English. Check out the TED Talk. This TED Talk blew my mind. I was very lucky that at a younger age, I was Googling something about the hymen, as one does. That thing doesn't rip, okay? That thing is not supposed to rip. If you bleed during your first time of having penetrative intercourse, that's problematic. I discovered this video years ago where this woman was explaining that it's this membrane, it's half moon shaped, and it's not supposed to rip. It's not, that is bullshit. This whole thing about knowing when a woman has lost her virginity or not, that is, first of all, you don't lose anything. Now I get upset. Now I'm getting seriously upset. But anyway, that's a completely different story. Maybe we can get back to that on another occasion if you want.
Yes, yes, yes.
Good. In the meantime, we hope you have a lovely Corona time. Stay safe, stay sane, collect your blood.
Period.
Period. Exactly. Bye.